I'm Kelly Hogan. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I am a little hoarse right now. I just got back from the 4th annual Meatstock convention in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I finally got to meet 27-year carnivore Charlene Anderson, who I have been talking to and friends with online since 2009 when she helped me get started with carnivore. That was a big moment. I also got to hang out with the 85-year young rancher Maggie. Now, if you aren't familiar with her, she has eaten nothing but meat for several decades. I sat right next to the woman under very harsh lighting, and I'm here to tell you, she is gorgeous. There's no filter on these photos. She is amazing. I also spoke on the Carnivore Superstar panel with Michaela Peterson Fuller, Dr. Ken Anisha Berry, Dr. Chafee, Bella Ma, Courtney Luna. We spoke to over 1,500 audience members. It was incredible. I had my neck adjusted while I was there with some pressure points from Dr. Eric Berg. I talked individually with Dr. Sean Amara for about an hour about the microbiome. I ate steak and danced off the stage with Michaela, cracked up in the hallway with Sally Norton, shared a room with 11-year carnivore Linda Salant, touched up my makeup with Sabrina Salt, sat at dinner next to the Berries and Dr. Boz, had an after-hours party with some dear friends from my coaching groups, was blown away seeing so many people wearing my Zero Carb Life gear. And then I did a steak taste testing competition with Courtney Luna and Jenny Middich and Dr. Kiltz. So yeah, it was a really good time. And I hear that next year the plan is to have Meatstock 2027 in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you see tickets go up for sale, you should join us. It was epic. All right. Enough of the fun stuff. I have some business to address. I am going to encourage you to get a writing utensil, something to write on. I'm going to talk your ear off for just a little bit, and then I have a quick written exercise that I really do think would be helpful. At that point, you can either pause the video then or now, go get that paper and pen. The assignment will affect your GPA, so do not just sit there, people. Recently, I have talked to some folks who say that they have been doing carnivore, but that they still have high triglycerides, joint pain, extra weight they can't get rid of. And when I ask how long they've been doing carnivore, the answer is usually 2 years, 4 years. But I've learned to ask this follow-up question. How long have you been consistent with it? As in, how long has it been that you've been totally without fruit, vegetables, starches, sugar, sweeteners? And the answer usually goes like this. Well, I've been back on track for the past 2 weeks. Or, well, I've been mostly carnivore for a couple of years, but it's been on again and off again until the last few weeks. Okay, good. I love an honest answer. I love self-awareness. In those conversations, the person often asks if I think they should do some fat fast or sardine fast to get better results. Do I think they need to water fast or take GLPs or start a calorie cut or add a supplement? I mean, sure, you could try a wide variety of tactics. Feel free. And actually, I have a specific example in mind of a lady that is new to my groups. And for today, I'm going to call her Kate. Kate started off saying to me that she has done carnivore for 3 years. And she still has some weight that she'd like to lose. And she seemed kind of baffled that she isn't getting the same amazing results that others are getting, which made me scratch my head. I mean, we did some talking, we did some troubleshooting, and by the end of that conversation, I found out more information. For example, she will occasionally eat the carby leftovers off of her kids' plates, but just a couple bites. She does lick the knife, the spoon when she makes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but it's just a little bit. Um, she will occasionally grab a few of her husband's chips at night, but usually just 3 or 4. She does realize that she is living in a home with mold. She says that she stays up a lot of the night scrolling. She says she's working on it. She does not have energy to go for walks, but she does know that would help. Okay. The majority of what she said to me, though, was just focused on how much weight she wants to lose and how she feels obsessed with wanting to be smaller and healthier, and that she is desperate to get this weight off. I asked her if she has tried tracking her food to make sure she's eating enough meat. And she said she doesn't want to obsess over food tracking, and she's heard that carnivores don't need to track their food. So no, she does not track. When I ask her about her activity level, she does not want to obsess over counting steps. So she doesn't wear any device, pedometer, or anything. She has no idea. When I ask her about working on just consistency with carnivore, she doesn't want to obsess over perfection. And she reminded me that it is about progress, not perfection. And no arguments there, but the problem is she doesn't seem to think she's making much progress. Now, I want to say this with all the love in the world. This lady does not need a quick strategy or a new improved set of macros. She does not need an innovative fasting strategy or more and more cans of sardines or the next big supplement. Not even creatine is going to fix this. I think she just needs to change her obsession. She is so focused on wanting the results and finding some quicker way to get them that she isn't working on the tried and true work that I know would get her there. She's afraid of being obsessive, but she's already full-blown obsessed. For me, this isn't about being obsessed with perfection or obsessing over rules. It's about never doing anything that I know would be harmful to my body. Not even on Saturdays or super special events like my third cousin's wedding reception or on Taco Tuesday, okay? For me, doing carnivore doesn't include me having sugar-laden junk at kids' birthday parties or treating myself like a garbage disposal that bats clean up after every meal. Doing carnivore doesn't mean that I still am the taste tester for carby recipes or that I'm licking the spoon when there's sweetened plant food all over it or processed food-like substances. In my book, at least, if I say I am doing carnivore, that does not mean that I am having wine at night, still fighting cravings because I'm sucking on sugar-free candy all day, or filling my morning drink with skinny syrups and chugging sugar-free energy drinks all day, or using sweetened protein powders instead of just eating a real meal of meat. And this isn't about just carnivore harder. It's about carnivoring, period. You can't know if carnivore is actually going to work for you to reverse years of damage from eating garbage if you haven't actually tried eating nothing but meat for at least a few months. Right? Can anybody give me an amen here? Come on. Now, listen, there is some nuance and some syntax here. Not everybody is going to have the same definition of what carnivore means. But to me, it means you're eating only animal products. Some people do also include unsweetened tea and coffee. I have. Some people include seasonings. I do. But I think it is a big stretch to say that it includes polishing off carbs, even if they are your kids' leftovers, having potato chips, even if it was just 3 or 4, and eating birthday cake, even if it was a super important birthday that ends at a 5 or a 0. If someone told me that they have a peanut allergy and they have been peanut free since 2010, so they don't understand why they still get sick occasionally, I would be baffled too. unless they then go on to tell me that they occasionally lick the peanut butter knife or they occasionally polish off their kids' leftover peanuts. Likewise, if someone says they're feeling unwell, but then they disclose that they have just a little bit of rat poison on the weekends, I mean, mystery solved, right? And if you're like me and you know that eating sugar, fiber, processed foods, sweeteners, that it all made you obese, unwell, it gave you obsessive food thoughts, it gave you carb cravings, gave me skin issues, hormone imbalances, I had fertility struggles, it spiked my blood sugar, then please, let's don't be surprised when even small amounts of that same exact poison wrecks us and gives us the poor results again. And if that is what's going on for you, then I do not think the answer is we should tweak our macros, get into a calorie deficit, do more fasting, or look for the next big hack. I think the answer is let's get real with ourselves. Let's recognize that even small amounts of toxins are still toxic, that even little bits of a drug will still keep addiction alive. So these small amounts of sweetened foods and drinks, they do drive cravings. And in the case of Kate from earlier, she also shared that she is living in a home with mold. And while she is trying to fix her health with these sardine fasts, why? Because home remediation is expensive, she said. And yes, it usually is. One of my assistant coaches had to spend thousands of dollars renovating some deeply hidden mold from her otherwise beautiful home. And although Carnivore helped her reduce many, many symptoms, she couldn't really feel good until she stopped breathing mold spores all day. Also, Kate said that she doesn't want to obsess about food tracking or counting her steps or trying to be this perfect carnivore. And fair enough, okay? But she is already obsessing. Her thoughts all day center around how her body looks lumpy in her clothes, how her jeans are too tight, how the scale won't drop, how she can't stop thinking about sweets, how she wishes she had better energy, how she just wants to feel good again. She's already obsessed. She's just obsessed with the results. Well, a lack of results, really. And being obsessed with results, it's getting her nowhere. And despite thinking and wishing and dreaming and wanting to look better and feel better, nothing is changing. She's obsessed with the end goal. But she needs to be a little more obsessed with this consistency, this work that it's going to take to get her there. Now, look, side note, I do not love the word obsessed. I never want to be obsessed with anything other than the Lord himself, including carnivore. But when we think about where our mind is all day, if our thoughts stay more on our annoyance at how we look and feel, on our negative self-talk, on our desire for the scale to move, to get these amazing results, there is a better way to get there. And instead of just wishing and hoping and dreaming for this smaller waistline and a healthier body, what if Kate started just being completely consistent with her carnivore diet? Not while self-body checking all day in the mirror, not while worrying all day about what the scale is going to say. No, just set it and forget it for a while. Eat only animal products all the time. Because that's what she says it takes for her to feel better. When she does it, she actually feels better. So let's just say, what if she ate nothing but beef for the next 5 years? Nothing else. Just lots of steak, burger patties, flanking ribs, bowls of ground beef. Does anyone here think she would get better results? Anyone? Come on now. 5 years? Obviously, yes. She would. And instead of being obsessed with fitting in smaller jeans, let's say she did get a watch or a little clip-on pedometer, and she just said, okay, I'm currently getting about 4,000 steps per day. The average American, by the way, gets 3,000 to 4,000 per day. What if she said from now on, I'm going to get 6,000 to 7,000 steps per day? Does anyone here think that if she did that for the next 5 years, she would fit into those jeans a little better? Well, she would. Just mark my words. She would. Research is on my side here on this one. Regarding the mold in her house, instead of obsessing about every symptom and why she still feels lousy, what if she started setting aside just even a little money from each paycheck for this remediation fund? Or maybe she made a call to her insurance company just to ask if there's anything that could be done. Is there any coverage? You could Google and ask around to see if there is a local mold sniffing dog. It's a thing. Or maybe see if somebody could come do a free remediation to see what it would take to remove the mold. She could do a little research on CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and she would find out that there's a very good reason she feels awful every time she eats carbs, including fruits and vegetables. And it's because those plants have amylose in them, and that amylose causes CIRS symptoms to flare up. The only foods that are free from amylose, animal products. So I wrote a whole chapter in my handbook about CIRS because I think it is so important. I included all of the protocols that can actually help people to feel better while they hopefully work on this remediation thing. So eating only meat, getting time out in the sun to raise your vitamin D levels, sweating out toxins in a sauna, reducing inflammation with some red light therapy, eating fish for the extra omega-3s, doing some breath work and visualization practice to calm down the nervous system, soaking in Epsom salt baths to help raise your magnesium levels, doing lymphatic massage and using castor oil packs to help with this detox process. There are so many strategies that can help people to feel better while they heal from mold exposure, or at least while they're working on getting away from the mold. Because we have to get away from the mold. Nothing is going to fix the problem if you're still breathing mold every day. All right, I'm a little off track. What's my point? We can either obsess over wanting results, or we can get down to business on what next steps we're going to take to actually get somewhere. And a great way to overcome like a mental block on a project, even if the project is yourself, on a project that feels really unattainable, is to ask yourself, what is one small step that I could make today? Maybe that small step would be, okay, I'm going to just pick up the phone and make one call to my insurance company about this mold. One phone call. I could do that today. Or maybe you set a hard and fast boundary that starting this moment, I'm going to only eat animal products. Just to find out if that actually helps, instead of just saying that you do carnivore while still adding all these licks, tastes, bites, and sips of non-animal products. Maybe it means that instead of complaining that carnivore didn't give you the energy expected, you also turn off the phone at 9, dim the lights in the evenings, take a few little 10-minute walks during the day to get some sun exposure, and you put yourself to bed by 10 p.m. Any one of these little steps would get all of us further along than just being obsessed about the scale and our lack of results. If we actually want results, then I would suggest that we focus pretty hardcore on any one of these 3 things. First of all, just staying consistent with carnivore, getting our diet under control. I would suggest avoiding all sweet tastes, removing the non-animal products, eat meat, just meat and eggs. Number 2, I would give your body the best chance possible for good sleep at night. I know some of you are thinking, well, I try, but I can't sleep. Well, sometimes people will say they have insomnia because they genuinely have had major sleep struggles in the past. So then they kind of turn themselves into night owls. And I get that. The nights are long. So instead of tossing and turning all night, you decide, okay, I'm just going to watch TV and scroll because it's miserable just laying there. But now you can't possibly get better sleep because you're watching TV and scrolling, right? Carnivore does tend to improve people's sleep quality, but you have to actually give yourself a chance to sleep first. So you need to lay in a dark, dark room without any stimulation for 8 to 10 hours. And you might find that your sleep improves. Okay, the third thing, find a way to move your body. That might mean that you have a commitment of walking to the end of your street and back 3 times per day. Or maybe you set a timer for 10 minutes to walk for 10 minutes after every meal that you can. Maybe you get a little rebounder, a mini trampoline, and you march in place or you bounce while you watch TV. Maybe you have a standing desk or treadmill to use while you work. You could join a local rec center. That's what I did because I found out it was very affordable. So I go and I lift weights twice per week. But if you are obsessed with getting these results and you aren't moving your body, your obsession is misplaced. If you're obsessed with wanting this leaner body and less body fat, but you aren't consistently walking and or lifting weights to use your muscles, this obsession is likely getting you nowhere. And I want you to get somewhere. I really do. Okay, so we're consistently carnivore, we're working on better sleep, and we're finding a way to move our bodies. If you do those 3 things every day, maybe even a little bit obsessively, you could likely stop having to obsess about the muffin top, the weight loss, or how you look in photos. You could let go of some other obsessions. That's just setting your mind on the work and not what we want the work to do for us. Now, if you're already doing those 3 things, the carnivore, the sleep, the movement, and you are not getting positive results, I have a suggestion. Do it longer. I mean it. Can you even imagine a world in which someone eats nothing but real meat, walks 7,000 steps per day, and gets better sleep, looking anything but better after 5 years of just doing those things consistently? The results will come if we just put down our head, put in the work. Okay, what have I got for you other than just do it longer? Well, there are other courses of action you could take. Some strategies that I have used in my group. Track your food long enough to find out if you are eating above, below, or at your maintenance calories. Knowing that one thing helps people determine if they are in a calorie deficit and they've been there so long that it's no longer working, which means that they need to reverse diet for a while. Or if they weren't in a deficit at all, so they can assess and decide if they are ready for one. But you're not going to know that if you don't do any food tracking. And if that sounds obsessive to you, remember, some of us are already obsessing over the results. So we might as well move into the action of doing something that will actually help. Obsess or focus on. Let's change it to focus. Let's focus on something that is actually useful. Okay, some other tools. I teach about the lymphatic system. I've had some group members suddenly start to get their best results when they use strategies that we talk about for lymphatic detox. We do some movement exercises, we do the massage, we do some breath work, and we talk about other tools for the lymphatic system. Other people have found that by changing up their macros, by either raising or lowering their fat percentages is helpful. Another strategy that helps some people is to just double down on getting optimal nutrition by switching to better quality eggs, including some wild-caught seafood, having a little bit of liver a couple times per week, including some bone marrow here and there. So while I was at Meatstock, I had a really long sit-down conversation with Dr. Chafee. Now, he and I are in great health. We do not find that we need to really double down and focus on the most expensive eggs and getting all this liver. But I have known some folks who are really struggling with their health. And when they do those few changes, it's like the little extra that their body needed to get their micronutrients in check and to really get some better healing and better weight loss. We know our bodies lose weight best when we are nourished, when we are healthy. Friend Danny Conway says, weight loss is a byproduct or a result of balanced hormones and a healthy body. So it is important to make sure we're giving ourselves everything that we need. And some people do get results from a whole variety of strategies, like getting their thyroid thoroughly assessed. I have one group member who recently started taking T2. He's suffered with hypothyroidism. And this T2, he's like, oh my word, everything is suddenly falling into place. That's awesome. Some people have their hormones optimized, so maybe they need some BHRT. Some people get great benefit from some metabolic reset days that we talk about, like fat fasts, and there's a whole slew of other ones. I talk about fat fasting the most because it's just my personal favorite. But in order for all of these amazing things to work, I first encourage people to get the big pieces nailed down. All these other things are like little picture frames and knickknacks, maybe a new curtain rod. Meanwhile, it's like we haven't even laid the foundation for this amazing house, the foundation of our food, our sleep, and our movement. When the foundation is good, we've got good bones to this house. The walls are built. We've got studs, solid roof. Okay, now let's decorate, right? Then we can come in a little of this, a splash of that. And then all of these pills, shots, tests, and resets and quick fixes. Look, a lot of that is just going to end up being thousands of dollars flushed down your little porcelain throne if we haven't first got the basics consistent and down pat for a considerable amount of time, maybe more than like 2 weeks. So, some good questions to ask yourself today, right now. And this is where that paper and pen come into play. You didn't think I forgot, did you? Question 1. What is the next doable step that I can take to make my food better? Please do not write down 100 different things. Just one doable change that you could make that you think, truly believe would improve your diet, even if it was just a little bit. Some ideas. Maybe it is just to consistently eat meat and stop having these little carby bites here or there. Maybe that means you're going to eat more fresh, real meat instead of pepperoni, beef sticks, powders, and cheese all day. Maybe you think, I think it would help if I stopped all eating by 7 p.m. every night. Maybe you'll have a hard and fast rule that every bite you take must be taken sitting down at your dinner table instead of grabbing a little of this or eating it over the sink or, grabbing from the cheese drawer. Now, you can pause the video if you need and write down this one doable change. Something you could change to your eating plan. Maybe it just means, okay, for the next month, I will try switching to the free-range chicken eggs. I don't know. I don't know what's on your heart and mind right now, okay? But big or small, pick one thing that you think could improve your results and then write it down. Have you written it yet? It's okay. I'll wait. Okay, next. What is one doable change that you could make today to improve your chances of getting a good night's sleep? Not 42 changes. One change. So if your room has a lot of residual light, maybe you could get a little sleep mask, maybe some blockout curtains. Maybe you could put duct tape over all the little lights, the little light on the fan, the little light on the clock, the little light, right? All these little lights. It adds up. If you can see to get around in your room when it's dark, it's not really that dark. If you're a mouth breather, I know, no shame, maybe a little shame. Okay, it is what it is. Maybe you could get mouth tape to try. Game changer for me. If you don't get outside much during the day, maybe you could roll down your window a little bit. You don't have to ruin your hair or let in all of the hot or cold air. Just crack your window a little when you're in the car. Get some of those sun rays that we need to help set our circadian clock. That's one easy change. Maybe you could set your phone to turn off at 9 p.m. Just think of one thing that you think could move the needle on getting better sleep. If you don't write it down right now, what are the chances that you will remember this after the video is over? Trust. Write it down. So, what is one doable change you can make today to improve your chances of a good night's sleep? You can put it in the comments if you want. That's great. But it'd be awesome if you had it on a piece of paper when this video is over. And thirdly, let's think about movement. If your main goal is fat loss and you are not purposefully taking walks, I understand we all walk throughout the day. Maybe you say, well, I'm on my feet all day at work. That's not the same. If you aren't purposefully taking some walks, please start there. Could you take a walk after at least one meal today? It could be 10 minutes as long as that's more than before. That's great. If you're wanting to look more lean and feel stronger, what is one change you could make to your movement piece? If you're already walking, maybe you go from 2 walks to 3 walks per week. If you're not doing any resistance training, maybe the next step would be to every day do some countertop push-ups, or to put a set of 10-pound dumbbells in your living room and vow to use them at least twice per week until your arm muscles are genuinely tired. Or if you're like me and you know that actually going to the gym will get you to do more, maybe you can commit to today just picking up the phone and finding the best deal on a local gym membership. And by the way, if you're over age 65, many gyms offer free memberships through the Silver Sneakers program. So maybe today your only commitment is, I'm going to call and see if my gym offers that. Unless you're under age 65, in which case, just find out what they charge. Now, you may have 100 ideas that have been swirling in your head for months or years because you watch all these cool Instagram reels. Me too. And I get all these ideas of, I should save that and try it later. I should save. I have so many reels that I'm never going to catch up on. You may think, I could do lots of these things. But if these ideas have been swirling for ages, we're not actually taking any action. I am encouraging you to pause this video and commit to one thing that you could do to improve this movement piece. Something as simple as a 10-minute walk after dinner 2 nights. We think it has to be something grandiose, some lifelong big commitment. But committing to something in regards to our movement today, even something very tiny, these little things each day, actually, when done consistently for long periods of time, are life-alteringly huge. They add up to so much more than 1,000 reels that we're never going to actually follow through with. And if every single day we stayed carnivore, did one thing to improve our chances of a good night's sleep or our circadian health, right? And we moved our body a little more. The result, doing that every single day consistently in 5 years, would be surprisingly good. I promise. It is not about these big, impressive things once in a while. We think it's like, all right, I am going to show up and do a 5K this year. Okay, I mean, that's cool. That's great. But doing that, training for, let's say, a couple weeks and doing this 5K, likely in the long run is not going to make a big difference in how we look or feel, no matter how good your time was. But taking that walk every single night after dinner, it is. It's going to make a difference. When I hear someone like Kate, remember Kate earlier, say, I did carnivore for a few years, but it didn't work for me. But then we find out the food piece wasn't consistent. The sleep work wasn't being done. The lifestyle was sedentary. The home has mold. No food was being tracked to determine if she's even eating an appropriate amount of meat. And fresh meat had been replaced with powders and beef sticks. I mean, you could do worse, I know. But listen, I just want to give her a big hug. And I just want to help her get real with herself and focus on the few things that would actually make a really big difference. Because I'm mad at her? No. Because I just want her to be the world's best carnivore? No. Because I have grown to love her, and I want her to actually feel good. I want her to get what she really wants, instead of just wondering, why does everybody else get these great results and not me? The improvements in my own health and the changes in my own physique did not come from sardine fasting. I mean, I've done some. It was great. I felt amazing. I love my red light therapy. That's not what changed my life. I've done some grounding. It's good. My results didn't come from long water fasts or supplements or any hack that I ever saw on Instagram. And I really do love some of these tools. Okay, so y'all know I don't do any extended fasting, but I have gotten some added benefit from the Japanese walking technique, fat fasting, sunshine breaks through the day, and alternate nostril breathing. Yes, it's a thing. The real game changer for me has been consistently sticking to the foods that I know are best for my body. Not mostly, not 80% of the time, not on again, off again. I mean, consistently. And I have consistently moved my body through these years of carnivore with walks. And yes, sleep has always made everything work better. Those little changes, day in and day out, that is what has added up to, like, wow, this life-changing transformation in how I look and how I feel. But I promise, none of it really looked impressive on a daily basis. Nobody would have spent the day with me and been like, wow, she is doing some big, hard things. Never. So just like I desperately wish and want for Kate to feel better, same for you. It's what I want for you. And if you end up doing that on a diet that is completely different from mine, that is all good with me. If you do that in ways that I have never even considered, or with methods that just didn't work for me at all, great. I'm just glad it's working for you. I mean that. But if what you are doing isn't working, I really would love to help you figure out why. I do teach 8 different classes per week. I teach time slots in the mornings, at noon, in the evenings. I have led these groups for about 6 years now, and these classes sell out every single month. And they sell out because some of these few simple strategies, combined with interaction daily with the community, weekly Zoom calls with me, tools like the Handbook and the TDEE, and yes, some fun additional hacks, they all add up to accountability, consistency, and better results. Plus, I gotta tell you, I run really fun Zoom calls. I do. You could sign up at the link below, or you could just click here, okay? Next month's classes are enrolling right now. I would love to see you there. And if you already know exactly what you're doing, you just like carnivore content and hanging out with me on Saturday mornings, that's great. Hope to see you back here next week. Let's eat the meat, save the humans, consistently. Bye.